quite a bit, pedestrians 12%, cyclists 24%. The traffic has, obviously on Capel Street has gone down itself, but all those other streets are the adjacent streets next to it, and they've all gone down quite significantly, which I suppose people don't always think is going to happen. They think traffic is going to appear on their street, but actually it turns out that the traffic that had been on that street was just rat running through those residential areas. So they've seen a huge benefit. There has been some increase in traffic on two of our streets, Church Street and North King Street. These are our main roads around the area, so they have gone up, but they still haven't got back to pre-COVID levels, and I suppose at this stage are unlikely to. So what that means really is that we've about 4,000 vehicles a day less in the whole kind of north inner city area, which is massive if you look at it over the year. We're not sure where they've gone. Maybe some have changed mode, maybe some have gone further out, but you know, it has led to a reduction in noise, reduction obviously in emissions, and just a generally nicer atmosphere in that part of the city. And just I suppose this approach of doing it kind of quickly and doing it starting from the end in one sense meant that within 13 months, you know, the street had been changed from a big traffic street to a traffic-free street, which is something that normally takes us 5 or 6 years to do. And I suppose just this is just what it looks like now. So, you know, it's a much calmer street. It's proved obviously very popular with cyclists once you take the cars out. At the minute, cyclists and pedestrians are mingling quite well, but it is something that we are just keeping an eye on. And it's busy all year round. The picture on the left there was Christmas just gone, and then I suppose we started to see, which sounds more children on the street on their bikes or just running around, which again is something that would never have happened before. And I suppose just this is, I suppose, the difference of what it looked like before and what it looks like now. And so finally, just this is where we're at the minute. So a year on now that the street has settled down and we can see how it's being used, now we're looking to improve the street. And the thing that most people want to see, it comes up time and time again, is greening, more greening and seating. So that's what we're looking at the minute. And to create more rest spaces in place for people to linger. So this work is going to start now over the next couple of months, which will improve the street and get us through for the next 5 years. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Claire, for this very inspiring example of the Capel Street area. I think it's very clear the way you approach that, and incredibly interesting to see also this you know, this also feedback from 94% of the people with a positive feedback after the intervention. So where are you? You're going to stay with us also for
Yep.
1 more hour, right? 4 or 5 minutes.
Yep.
Good, as goal. So we will skip the questions now for the end, and I think we move forward with Deirdre, right?
Yep, that's right. I'll just share my screen now. Can you see that? Yep. Okay, so I'll explain. My name is Deirdre Prince. I'm an executive landscape architect and parks officer with Dublin City Council Parks Department. And I'm just going to discuss tactical urbanism in one of our public parks in Dublin City. It's not working now. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is Bridgefoot Street Park, Bridgefoot Street Park, which is a park in the middle of the city. So as Claire alluded to, we have a population of 1.1 million within the city centre area, of which that's the area that I look after in the Parks Department. And this is a park that was put into one of the more densely populated areas within the city, and we focused a particular greening study on 1 square kilometre of the city, with a concentration of people, and particularly young people in the area, and very little access to green space. So again, sorry, this is the center of the city here. The canals here kind of form the center city area. And this is, for anybody who's not been there before, that's the River Liffey, which bisects it. And where Claire has spoken about is this road here. That's just to give you some context, that's Capel Street. So this is we carried out a study in 2013, 2014 of our tree canopy cover within the city. And as you can see, there's areas, so this is the Phoenix Park, which is a large park to the west of our city. And these are what are called the leafier areas within Dublin, which you can see within the city centre is kind of very little canopy cover. And this study in 2014 led to us assessing access to green space for people, and particularly our tree canopy cover, to assess where we needed to increase it. Within the World Health Organization, the recommendation is that each person has 20 square meters of green space or access to it for their well-being. And in Dublin City, some of those areas went down to 1.5 square meters per person. And in the area that we concentrated our study on, which is this red outline here, the Liberties Greening Strategy area, that went down to 0.7 of a square meter per person of access to green space. So that's that highlighted that we needed to address that deficit and see how we could increase it. And then this again, just showing you where the densely populated areas within that city area. So you can see that the higher densities of red are showing an increase in population in that area. And then just to, indicate that this wasn't something that was going to change, that, obviously our populations are going to keep increasing in urban areas, and particularly with lots of new apartment developments around the city centre. We need to not be decreasing our access to green space, but actually increasing it. And again, just to show this Liberties area that we had, that the population of young people was actually quite concentrated in this area, which was surprising. So, again, access to green space and playgrounds, and particularly natural playgrounds was a priority for us. And then this led us to develop a greening strategy. So in these areas, to try and look and see where there may be spaces that we could facilitate parks or develop more greening or plant more trees, and basically trying to improve the well-being of people in the area. Coinciding with that, there was a space within the Liberties area which had a housing development, a previous Dublin Corporation housing development that had become derelict and was due for regeneration. So this is Bridgewood Street site as it was in the 80s. And so it was demolished in the late 80s, early 90s, and or 90s, sorry. And it was due to be redeveloped as further housing. But then the recession came and that site was paused. In the meantime, there were a group of locals in this area realized that they needed access to green space or needed access to sites. So I'll just show you the site as it was. So it was a derelict site when the buildings were demolished for years. And then what happened is the people in the area started to colonize it. So they started to put in little allotments, and they started to do little art demonstrations and planting displays, and started to claim this site as their own. And they petitioned the councillors in Dublin City Council to get this site rezoned from housing to park, which is significant. It's a significant change of a hectare size site within a Dublin city centre, where there is a housing crisis, where there is a need for housing, but the local people realised that there was a need for access to green space. So it was with this in mind, these people, this is an overview, sorry, of the derelict site as it sat for years and years. And you can see that they started to mark out territory and make little spaces on it. But really what they wanted to do was make their own park. They wanted this space for themselves. And you can see it's quite densely populated, and now even more densely populated because we've got more apartments on this side over here. So this led for the Parks Department to consult with the locals. The councillors did rezone it to parkland, and we, Dublin City Council Parks, engaged a landscape architect to engage with with the local community to see what they really wanted to actually make this into a park that they want, with all the stuff that they needed, whether it was allotments, community gardens, play spaces. And again, looking at the deficit of the area, there was very little access to this space. So these are slides from the numerous public consultations that happened between 2016 and 2017, where the people and the kids on the site marked out what they wanted to see in their park, what they had been doing for years in a underhand sort of guerrilla sort of way, but they knew that this was needed. So this led to a very successful public consultation where we had numerous meetings and developed a plan which with the landscape architect, which tried to fit everything in. Obviously you can't fit everything in, but it incorporated their need for a community garden, the need for more natural play areas. So not just the normal play facilities, but to develop a sort of wilderness within the city centre, which is one of the things that they were really keen for to have. So these are just plans, overall plans of the park. As you can see, it's not a typical park for Dublin City Council. It's very organic in its layout. And one of the things that was really important to us, that we wouldn't gate off the park, that we wouldn't enclose it, that it would be open at all times of the year so that everybody could access it, but also everybody could cross the site diagonally, whereas before it was a landlocked site that people had to walk around. One of the main primary design elements of this park was that there was a lot of left stone, kelp stone and soil on the site, and it was really important to us not to reduce our construction waste as well on this project. So we incorporated an awful lot of the material that was actually found on the site into the designed elements, and we also found materials that were left in some of our depots, or waste materials from other construction sites, and our designer incorporated them into the park. So we spent a lot of time salvaging materials and taking up pieces of broken road to try and reduce our construction waste and reduce our carbon footprint. And these are just some of the elements that were included in it. So the pathways were made up with pieces of found paving were incorporated into beautiful paving patterns. And equally then, these old curbing stones and old pieces of concrete and old concrete planters that we had, all of a sudden became natural play elements. So these were climbing structures, or places to hang out on seats, but also formed part of the natural landscape. And again, just other slides of how we incorporated the existing stone, the calp in the site, and the brick, and that was mixed in as an aggregate into our concrete, and also pieces of recycled glass. So in addition to that, obviously we wanted to increase our urban canopy within the city centre. So in a site the size of a hectare, we planted 181 new trees, which is quite a significant impact to have on an inner city area, predominantly larch. Again, the other interesting factor about this particular park is it gave us a chance to bring a little bit more wilderness into the area and a little bit more biodiversity. So the planting within this park isn't just lawn and pretty herbaceous borders. It's a biodiverse, rich, natural seed mix which changes every year and becomes habitats for nesting bees or birds, and pollination species in general. So it's actually quite successful planting mix. So there's just another view of the park, but as you can see, we've formed mounds out of the existing material that was on the site, and it all of a sudden creates this amazing aspect within the city where you wouldn't normally be up in this height in the park to be able to view it. But it's also a really exciting play element within the park. And from that mound, we put in a huge slide, like a 3-meter high slide, which is a unique feature within the city. And as you can see, it's quite widely used by lots of kids. Again, showing the demand, which was created by the people in the area to create a playground, to create a park, because there was a deficit in the area. And this park is widely populated, including our recent delegation from Seoul, who partook in the slides. We also, just as part of we had over 350 local participants from all over that area who had a voice in how this park should be created, had a voice in what was required in it. And as a result, those people mind this park like it's their own, you know, and I think that whole creating a space, getting a voice from the people and listening to what they wanted has really worked in the success of this park. And we've developed a community garden which is widely used, and they have so a quarter for that park is given over to the community, which again is something unique in our city parks, that we allow them just to manage that and to grow whatever they want within it. So again, just to show you that what we've been doing in our built up areas with deficits of green space is we've been looking at areas that we can develop greening strategies. So this is the Liberties greening strategy, where we've delivered 2 new parks in the city, and increased our urban canopy and depaved a lot more areas. We've similarly got Stony Batter, the Markets greening strategy, the city centre public realm, and the northeast inner city. And we're actually now working on another greening strategy here called the Whitefriar greening strategy. But again, these are all long-term strategies of trying to look at ways of increasing access to public space for our inhabitants, and also increasing our our canopy cover to combat our carbon pollution. And then these are just potential tree projects which we have. So what we do is we look at every road to see where we can deliver more street tree projects within the city. We actually got help with it there recently. We planted in one of our new city parks a ginkgo in March last year. And then that's the end of it. That's just a brief run through of how, you know, a group of people within the city can create a need for a park, and how that helped us deliver one within the Parks Department.
Super. Thank you so much, Deirdre, for this very inspiring presentation again. Actually showing at the end even some pictures from the colleagues from Seoul who visited you there and contributed to greening Dublin City. So very ambitious also targets, and I think very, very good practices in the Liberties area and the Bridgeford Street and so on. Maybe you can stop sharing for a moment your screen.
Yep, I think I'm trying to.
Okay.
Yeah, it shows. Is it stopped? Oh, stop sharing. Yeah,
no,
yeah,
not
yeah.
yet.
Got it.
Yeah,
Thank
you very much. Thank you very, very much. Now, very interesting. So we have still have an hour to go, and we have one more colleague, an expert to present a best practice. Now, coming out a little bit from the, it's a different area of tactical urbanism. It's actually art, and I'm very happy to welcome Paula here on stage in a moment. By the way, I'm very happy also that in the meantime, the expert I mentioned at the very beginning, Ryan Reynolds, he has joined our meeting. So thank you, welcome Ryan, for being with us here also. And Ryan was the one actually helping us also to kind of deliver the last presentation a few months ago. And so Paula, now it's your turn, and welcome to the round.
Thank you very much. Hello to you all. Thank you, the organization, for allowing Málaga to be part of this seminar. It is a pleasure to see the interventions and the projects that the other colleagues have shown. They are very inspiring. And it is my pleasure actually to be here and to be able to show one of the most interesting and passionate projects that we have done in the City Council of Málaga since I have been working here, which is already 19 years ago. And well, it is one of the most interesting projects because It probably has all the ingredients that an urban planner would like to have. Let me just share my presentation with you. And I think you can see it now. Can you see it?
Yes, yes, we can. Yes.
So as I said, this has been one of our most interesting and passionate projects because we have had a very important involvement of the citizens. This actually is a real project, a bottom-up project that started because, well, there was a will of the citizens that felt they had a feeling that the city historical center, the main part of the city of Malaga, was evolving in a very positive way, adapting and with a very important input of urbanistic renewal. But somehow they were out of this project. They felt they weren't part of it. So this is what the physical changes were in throughout the project. But as I said, the ingredients of the Soho project are all the ingredients that a project urban planners would like to for an intervention in the city, because it arises from the citizens. All the departments of the city council took part of the project from the beginning. The participation of the actors in the area was continuous, and as I said, it was from the beginning, and it was very intense, as I will explain later on. The positive thing, we found the money to make it possible, and I'm glad that Sandra is part of Sandra Marin, that she said that she had to leave, but she was part of it, and she was one of the persons that actually found the money and did all the management of the European funds. So it was also thanks to them and the Urban Environmental Observatory of Malaga that were able and capable of finding money for all the different aspects that were proposed by the citizens. And as I said, it was this hope of change that came from the inhabitants that made the project possible. So, but this is starting from the end. So let's start from the beginning. As Pablo was explaining, we are a city in the south of Spain, in the south of the southern region of Spain, which is already in the south of Europe. So I don't know if we are in a coastal city, and this was, as I was explaining to you, the historical center, and this is what is now the Soho district, which was before called the Ensanche Heredia. That is the name, the historical name. And as you can imagine, all the areas that are very close to the port are usually degraded, and they usually have social problems. This was something that had occurred to this district, and this historical center had lots of inputs related to tourism and projects of urban renewal, and the inhabitants and the commerciants, they felt that they were like kind of out of this urban city project. So what they did was they presented, well, this was the situation at first, is we had prostitution, we had empty commercial premises all around. We had an old theater, but it wasn't working very well, because when the sun came down, it wasn't a very nice place to go. So what they did, the citizens, they presented the city council, the city mayor, a project with their desires. And the city mayor, he listened to them, and he found it, well, quite shocking and interesting, what all of their proposals. And so he gave the dossier to our political representative, the one that was in charge of the urban area at the moment. And they told us to analyze this document. And I'm speaking in plural because obviously it wasn't me alone that started working in this project. Also my colleague, she's sitting over there in in the same room as myself. She worked, Aurora Requena, she also worked in this project from the beginning. And we started analyzing the all the project from an holistic point of view. And suddenly what started to happen is that the press and on the radio and everybody started to talk about this project. And so we sent the dossier to all the areas and the departments, and everybody started to show and to explain what they would like to do on the area. So actually we had the point of view of the traffic, of the environmental area, of the lighting design department and area, also the social problems that the area had, which were explained by the police and which were explained also by the area and department related to these issues. So we really did get to find a very integral point of view of the area. And we decided to start by the renewal of the urban space. So we did a first project, which actually was not this one, this one that I'm showing you. It was another one. We did another project, but we decided to do an assembly and show it to the citizens. This was the assembly, and this was 2010, I think, February 2010. And what we expected to be a meeting of 10 people, it ended up being more than nearly 200 people, everybody standing up, people waiting on the door of the place where we organized it. And the city mayor went, and lots of political groups, as you can see there, association, business owners, citizens, public entities that were eager to find out what was going on in this neighborhood. And so we showed them the proposals. And what they said is that they weren't exactly, they didn't exactly agree with our proposal. So let me go back to this project. We had this proposal of this area to turn it into a little park, this street, renew this street, and the proposal continued in this area that we can see on the map now. But the citizens said that they wanted this big central street to be changed and to be turned into a car-free area. At the time, we thought it was going to be absolutely impossible, because let me go back to this area. This was the way it was at the moment. So we said, how are we going to take all these cars away, and how are we going to change this area? But they really had a very clear idea. So we changed the project, and we decided to change this. And this was the first changes that we did. As you can see, soon the pedestrians and the citizens started to walk around. New commercial spots came up. And one of the changes, important changes that we did, was to change the lighting. I will explain later that what we did is to change the project. We did a lighting project specifically to decrease the power consumption and to go into a more environmental friendly kind of lighting strategy. So, as I said, we decided to approach this project because we really didn't have any other way to do it, because actually citizens came up to our office every day to find out what was going on and how they could participate. And so we decided to do an assembly and create working groups, several working groups, technical and social. And we had permanent groups related to economic activity, regeneration, renewal of urban space, commercial promotion, and cultural management. The project that Pablo was talking about earlier on, I will explain at the end, which has been one of the most important points of this project, which is the urban and artistic approach of the project. So we decided after talking and doing several assemblies, we decided with the citizens that these 4 objectives would be the 4 objectives of the project: to transform a degraded neighborhood into a cultural reference in the city, to reactivate the economy of the area through cultural and creative industries that we had to somehow bring to the neighborhood, which at the moment they didn't want by any means, because obviously this was a very poor space and with no activity at all. We had to generate involvement, participation, and a sense of belonging to the place among the neighbors, because at the moment, the business owners and also the local artistic communities, because as I was going to say, the people that lived in the area, they actually never really wanted to accept they lived in this part of this historical part, because it was always related to prostitutions and problems in the city, and people actually only used the area to park and then go to the historical park for dinner or going out or doing social activities. But this was actually the place where you would leave your car and be very careful when you went back to get it. So the change was going to be important. And also we had to attract new residents with a younger profile to see if we also could change the social aspect of as I was explaining before. So this was the second approach that the second project that we approached, which was changing all the lighting, as I said. This was the aspect on your left. This was the aspect of the cities in the evening, and we changed it all into LED. Well, I didn't explain because I don't think we have time, but we also in these years we also we tried to change the image in a way that we created a brand for the Soho. And this brand was actually created by the citizens. We made a contest that had a very high participation. And finally, the citizens were the ones that chose the actual brand that we have here now, and the colors and everything. So we tried to implement also in the lighting project the brand. So when you walk through in the night through the neighborhood, you can see the brand on the floor as you walk by. Let's go back to this project, because we also, for us, it was our first large-scale area to be approached with LED, and also it was a very big change to see citizens walking through this area in the night. These photographs don't have people, because they were the photographs that we presented for the Auralia Award, which is this project that we did, and we actually won the first prize because of the radical change that occurred in these streets. We also had sense lighting that lightened up when people walked by, so it had a very interesting aspects of the project. So this is why we got the first award for this project. Another of the strategies was to create a master plan. So the master plan decided that one of the first points that we had to approach was the strategic position and the commercial orientation to improve the commercial and the business activities. As I said before, the renewal of the urban space had already started with the criteria of accessibility, sustainability, and innovation. And after that, we also decided with the master plan to try an approach and give the neighborhood a cultural approach that was actually going to be one of the most important aspects of the project. So we did lots of activities in the city. new stores came to implement their activities here. We gave grants. We created a website, a real estate website, so that people that wanted to implement their activities in the commerce, they knew where what commercial areas were free. And we also did small on Sundays. We did at the beginning small markets, but became big every Sunday because lots of people came to visit, and so also the weekends it was a very crowded and with lots of activities. We also wanted to, as I said, change the sense of belonging that people had. So our first video was this one here on the left, was with the first inhabitants and with the first commercials that decided to implement their activities there. And this video that was created was called "In the Heart of Malaga Beats the Soho." That is what this phrase means. And so every person that wanted to be part of the video explained why they were interested in this neighborhood and why they wanted to be part of the project. So as you can see here, Lola was Lola, and she explained why she wanted to open her activity, her restaurant, why she wanted to open her other shop. And also we did several festivals related to art, theater for the kids. We also managed to open a nursery in the neighborhood, which also changed a lot the central area. And this was one of the first activities related to cultural management that we started doing. What we did was 5 interventions. They were called Ocuparte, Closed by Malagueñas, Disparate, Soho Malaga Sound, and Soho Outdoor Interventions. So what were they? They were, as you can see, a music festival in the urban space, in the streets, and in a little plaza that is part of the area. We also had in urban street art that was coming along, and we also had in the abandoned houses. We organized cultural events and artistic events, and so more and more people started to come to the area. And finally, we organized the Malaga Urban Art project, which is the Mouse. And what we did was call one of, well, the best urban artists of the international, the ones that were most well known in the urban street art. I guess most of you know Obey and Deface, also Boa Mistura in Europe, and Faith 46, and they were very happy to participate of the project. So they started this, as you can see, was the big wall that we had there, which a very important impact in the city. This is one of our main streets, actually. This is the street that that is also next to the historical part. And so she did this, which was which had a very beautiful impact and a big change. And we also had Deface doing this big mural and Obey doing this one. And this was a great, massive event. Lots of people from throughout Europe came to see the actual moment of them doing this big, huge urban intervention. And as you can see, we prepared a recording of of the whole process, and it was live on internet and YouTube, the whole process, and the press and everybody that wanted to be watching and to meet the artist, they were always welcome. And let me see, I think I have I have a video, a short video of this moment. Let me see if I can share it with you.
I'm Shepard Ferry, an artist from Los Angeles, California, and most people know me as Obey. For me, street art is about redefining public space. When I go to a city and I can do something on this scale, I know that that makes people think about the landscape differently and what it can be used for differently. It's not just for advertising, it's not just for government signage. Art can play an important role. I think that most people assume that peace is the thing that should be the natural state of things, but it's not. Chaos and friction are the natural state of things. So it actually requires a lot of effort to maintain peace. And it's a concept, I think, to be constantly vigilant about. My new mural is called Mujer Fatal. It was originally inspired by the Zapatistas, and that the Zapatistas in Mexico were fighting for justice. The idea that women, I think, frequently are peacekeepers. They maintain family, community, harmony. So she's someone who's fighting for peace and justice. I hope that my work here has been an inspiration for people to appreciate public art and to maybe create public art. But I think that this is a movement that is affecting a lot of people beyond what I could do on my own. It's a very powerful movement.
So as you can see, all these projects of urban art became icons of the area, and actually this one was one of the most iconic because it says, think of a desire, love what you do, and go out and get it. So it was actually it could be understood as what actually happened in the neighborhood and how the citizens felt about this new project and about the new aspect that their neighborhood had. They had a desire and they fought for it, and well, they had the luck to see the change in their cities. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Paula. Thank you. Very inspiring presentation again. Also, great end, of course, with an impressive art work over there. So we have about, I think, 10-15 minutes for discussion. Those who can remain online are also welcome to do it beyond the time schedule, which was 10:30 European, Central European time, or 17:30 in Korea. But we will start actually with some questions on Korea. I think because I know that Lee is still in the office, and so maybe I would like to ask colleagues here participating if you could, if there's anyone who would like to put a question first of all to Lee Choi-young from the Seoul Metropolitan Government with respect to the Jamsu Bridge or to the Cheonggyeong-Cheonggro, the different walking tours over there. So let's give it a start, maybe to put some questions to Seoul. I don't know if there are any colleagues volunteering here. It's quite an impressive, I think, project. I see Daria over there. Please go ahead. Sorry, didn't see your hand on time.
That's okay. I just put it up. Thanks very much. I was just really curious in the Space Out event that you ran. How did you monitor that? How was that organized? I suppose it's something that was really interesting to us.
You mean the Space Out competition on the bridge?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, all right. So yeah, as I mentioned, it starts from an artist who wants to challenge the conception that just doing nothing is useless, but it became very popular it became kind of a trend on a younger generation. and quite many people, quite many citizens want to make this kind of big event. So city government cast that, and we started the event in the square of the city hall. There is a quite big square in front of City Hall, and we started at that lawn, but we move it. We changed the location to the bridge, to the Jamsu Bridge, which is a submerged bridge, to collaborate with the pedestrian-friendly policies of our government. So yeah, we started to change the location for the event from last year, and it is quite popular, because even though we allow only 70 teams, but around 4,000 people applied to participate in that. Yeah.
So it's an application process, and you have to apply to do it.
Yeah, sure. For the online registration. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lee Trajan. Diego, please.
Yes. Hello, everybody. A question for Lee.
Diego is by the way from Malaga. Huh?
Okay. Yes. Sorry. I was lucky to be in Seoul last month about another program.
Oh,
sorry, Diego, you're muted. Sorry, there was a.
Sorry. Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes, I was lucky to be in Seoul last month about with another European program, ICP program. I could see personally all these projects you have shown us. I was in the bridge, and I was seeing the light show, and this river, and the square, City Hall square. And my question is, we have seen a previous picture with all this traffic about the street where the river was down. How did you manage to put this traffic in another place, another street? I know you have a very powerful public transport system, but there were a lot of cars in that picture.
Oh, you mean how we regulate the cars to not to enter the site?
Yes.
Right. So yeah, as you can guess, there are quite many, not many, but quite few objections that we ban the traffic, because many people still want to use cars for moving. But we try to notice it very frequently before we banning, because we have very we have very managed or controlled information system for traffic. So such as text for telephone, or LED signs on the roads, or all media such as broadcasting on radio. We noticed the banning or prohibiting private vehicles on that road. And many citizens are already known about that before we banning. So that's how we control the traffic. And I think because also all the public transportation, we provide alternative routes. So I think this kind of policies or approach make us better pedestrian only streets. Yeah.
Super. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Zanita, yeah, exactly. Thank you very much. Okay, last question to Seoul. Beatriz, please. From Beatriz, can you please introduce yourself too?
Yeah, 안녕하세요, 이채연. My name is Beatriz García Monco, and I'm from Vitoria-Gasteiz, Spain, a little town in the north of Spain. Hello, Pablo, again. I wanted to ask you, as you said that there is some of these projects that you are building up, it has also the aim of reducing heat islands. I want to ask you if you have a policy or a strategy to build more of these climate refugees inside the city. Kamsahamnida.
Oh, thank you, muchas gracias. And I'm kind of unknown, not well known about climate refugees, because we do not use that kind of words in Korea. But I guess that because of the climate crisis, quite many citizens in urban center suffers the heat. It is what you mean. All right. I think we are not focusing on that strategy because we are still in the level of planning or preparing for the climate crisis, but not very preemptively. Yeah, but I have to study more about that. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Or Bea, I don't know if you have a comment or we just move forward. Okay, fine. Thank you very much, Lee. Good thing about this community of cities we are in the IURC is basically that, of course, you have your contacts. And I think if you don't have them bilaterally yet, we are happy to share that with you, Bea and Lee, afterwards. We're going to move forward now to our, I think, to questions relating the Irish capital. By the way, also Vitoria-Gasteiz is a capital, regional capital, and not a little town, I would say. It's a very important city in the north of Spain, of the Basque Country. So, so we're going to move to, I think, Dublin. So I don't know if colleagues have any questions straightforward to the two areas. Just to remind you, we started with the traffic, the pedestrianization of Capel Street, and if there are some questions, comments from the audience. I don't know if I can see all the hands here. So just let me know. Paula over there, please go ahead.
Hello. I found very interesting your projects. Well, actually also the Seoul one I thought was very inspiring. But I wanted to ask the colleagues of Dublin, how did they manage? Because we also have an issue when we eliminate cars from the cities, when we create car-free cities. What happens is that immediately we get from the commercials and the restaurants and the bars that have facade to these streets, they soon want to put tables and create terraces over there. So in the end, we eliminate cars, but then we have all this public space that somehow isn't so public, because the lateral areas, the side areas of the streets are taken away by these spaces, which we do understand are also necessary to create atmosphere and to improve the commercial and the restaurants activities. But do you have any kind of policy according to this? Do you have this issue, and do you have any sort of policy that could help to solve our problems here? Thank you very much.
Yep. So thanks for that question. It is from when we started doing it, it's been quite well regulated. So nobody can just put out chairs and tables. They need to apply to us, the City Council, for a street furniture license, and each one is assessed. And there's two main things we look at. We need to keep on every road 3.5 meters clear at all times in case there's an emergency, so for emergency vehicles to get down. And we also need to keep a clear walkway for visually impaired and mobility impaired pedestrians, so that they have a straight and clear line as to how to get down. So it is well managed. They can't just go out and put tables and chairs wherever they like. They're designed a very specific area, and they have to comply with it. And if they don't comply with it, we come along and we take their furniture away from them. So it seems to work quite well.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we also have to apply, but they have to apply and they have to ask for the permit, but we have to be all the time checking because they try to implement more and more. Yeah, all the time. But the 3.5 meters is a good way also of explaining 3.5 meters have to be free. Thank you very much, Claire.
Welcome.
Thank you very much, Paula and Claire, for this discussion. Tony, I think you have also a question there.
Yes, hello, and welcome from New Zealand at 8:30 at night. Thank you so much for these amazing presentations. Really enjoyed them all. Really wonderful examples of working with the community to deliver a really great outcome. So thank you for that. My question is to the to Deirdre Prince. We have some real commonalities with what you've put forward. Christchurch is wanting to be a garden city, have lots of trees growing throughout the city. And we also have a central city playground, which was built after earthquakes devastated our city. So very similar issues and even some similar solutions. One question for you is, one of the problems we have with putting more trees throughout our city is the underground services. So I wonder, how is Dublin dealing with the planting of trees in really already built up areas where there are already pipes and wires maybe going under the street that makes it hard to green the city?
Thanks very much, Tony. That's I should have I mentioned that, sorry, before, but basically we have a lot of very congested cities with our services. So the idea of rolling out trees is the first step, but then we do GPR, ground penetrating radar surveys of our streets to ascertain like what the level of services are within those streets, and then we decide on if in some areas there's capacity to do open tree pits, but in other areas where there's a lot of services, or maybe that there's a restriction on the amount of footpath we can remove or roadway, we build structured tree pits. So we use crate systems under the ground, so sometimes that can allow us to put in more trees when we would pave over it, but we would have a big tree pit, structured tree pit underneath it. But it's a bit of a juggle, you're right, in that it's not as easy as just drawing circles on the plan. You know, it's what's happening underneath, and it could be a little bit of jiggling around to see what services are there and what we can accommodate, and whether we can put in structured tree pits, which would allow us to bridge over some of those services and plant a tree. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Deirdre. Thanks, Tony, for the question. I see also Julianne maybe for the last question on Dublin, and then we move forward to Malaga. Julianne.
Hi everyone, I'm Julianne from the Smart Cities program at Christchurch. Really great to see some very familiar faces from our trip to Malaga as well. Really nice to see you, Paula, and good to see Beatrice as well. Before this question's for Claire, just around the cycle and the pedestrian counters, are you using those to help support further trials? And is that sort of information available publicly to the citizens as well? How those trials have been, have they been successful? Are you putting that back out to the public?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So for Capel Street specifically, we have two methods. We did a full set of counts every month at I think 18 or 19 locations around the wider area. They were done. They started 3 months before we did anything, and they went on for another 6 or 7 months. So we've nearly a year's worth of data. That tells us, I suppose, how the street changed and also how all the side streets and wider area changed. All we did was report on them. If anyone asked for it, information, we give it to them, but we don't actually publish it specifically. But it is available, and we updated the councillors with the changes in it. they are expensive, obviously, to do such big counts monthly. So we do have a couple of counters now on the street as well that are just continuously counting. They're not as accurate, but they are accurate enough to pick up the trends, I suppose. And we've them all around the city, those counters for pedestrians and cyclists, and they're widely available. They're available online then for anybody to check them out and monitor whatever they want to do with it. So, but I would agree that the data is incredibly important, both for this specific project and also as a reassurance for future projects, I suppose.
That's great. Thank you.
Super. Thanks very much, Claire. Yeah, Christchurch City is indeed using a lot of smart city technology to monitor this kind of interventions. So I think it's, by the way, there is a best practice that I think we shared in the last webinar there, which is this Smart City Christchurch interface website. It's, Julie, is like, maybe you can share the link there for the other colleagues to see. It has even a
Sure.
CO2 tracker, quite interesting. So let's move forward maybe to the second European city case that was presented, Malaga. And thanks again, Paula, for the very interesting presentation and story. Very nice video at the end as well. Maybe some questions from colleagues here, straightforward. Before putting some, we have Ryan over there. Yes, Ryan, please.
Kia ora koutou. Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. I didn't think I was going to be able to make the webinar, but I made the last half. So yeah, thank you. It was really nice hearing your presentation, Paula. From what I could see of what you presented, this is a very big project, something that's been ongoing for 15 years or so. And oversimplifying, but broadly, I see two approaches where for a big regeneration project, you might start with smaller, inexpensive, creative action, arts, markets, and that makes the case for the bigger transformation, like the pedestrianizing of a major street, which is obviously much more of a commitment financially and in all sorts of other ways. And then sometimes we see these things being opposite approach, design-led. So you do the big urban design intervention like the pedestrianizing street first, and then that gives license to the creative sector and so on, and has a bunch of spin-off benefits. I didn't quite glean from yours maybe the chronology or the causal relationship between the pedestrianizing and the street art and other things. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship between the two and kind of what order they went in?
Well, actually, we started with we did start with the markets and with the activities in the streets, while the project was being thought about and like created in the technical way, and while it was all changing in the urban interventions. But actually, we did start with the changing of the streets, because well, as you say, it shouldn't have been like that. But we thought that the first thing that we had to do is change the urban space, because this joined to the changing of the idea that the people had of the neighborhood were our first approaches. And this happened in 2009, 2010, 2011. In which, well, the project was presented at the end of 2009. And during 2010, we started to think of, well, analyze the area and think of the urban renewal project, and also the lighting project. And while all of this was taking place, we tried to do activities that changed the idea that the people, the people in Malaga in general, not only the ones that lived there, the way they thought of this area. But as I said, everything was quite crazy in a way, because everything happened very fast, and everything happened very passionately and impulsively, because the press was very on this project. Nearly every day we had some sort of news related to the project, and we did have a lot of people coming to the office trying to find out how they could be part of it. and I don't really know how this, I think it was the power of the people that really believed in the power change, and they started to talk to their friends, come and implement your artistic activity here, or come and let's do a concert. And and I have to admit that at the time we accepted all the activities that the citizens asked for. Now I don't think we would organize the street concerts that we did organize at the time, because we had so many people on the streets and so much noise in the night in the streets. But actually we were like, I think we shared the feeling, and it was contagious. And when that was done, the master plan was approved, and we thought of the mouse. The mouse was the artistic approach, and that happened in 2014, 15, and 16. And all the artists and the urban graffiti artists came throughout those years. And to tell you the truth, this feeling has coexisted and is still going on in the area. Actually, we had a bank that's called the Triodos Bank, which is a social bank that wanted to implement their office several years ago there, and they were looking for a place throughout the whole Malaga, and they chose Soho. We also had a very innovative environmental project in a hotel to do a green facade, renovating the waters of the actual hotel, and that was also chosen to be implemented in the Soho. So actually, we still have this feeling, which is quite happy to see. It was a very profound change for the neighborhood, and from a very holistic way, as I said. I don't know if you have any more questions.
When you talked about, or my understanding, you say being a bit more permissive, or allowing accepting lots of ideas from the community that you might not. Was that advertised and promoted? Did you actually change systems of permits and funding and applications, or was it just we did create a web page in which we did put up all the activities that were going to take place, and also on the press. But it was actually, as I said, like in Spain we say boca a boca. Do you have that expression in English? Like from one person to another, it was told. Word of mouth,
and and the activities, they presented the activities in the city council, in the area, in the district, in the central district office. And I have to say that the lady, that the political representative of that area, of the central area, she was amazing those years. She went everywhere. She was all the time there. She was all the time speaking trying to understand what the problems were, and trying to coordinate activities. So I think it was also thanks to her in some way.
Well, you didn't mention Antonio Banderas.
Oh yes, I didn't. I shouldn't have forgotten that. As I say, yes, thank you very much. This spirit has continued, and actually Antonio Banderas, which is one of our most well-known actors, he decided to come back to Malaga from Miami and from the States, which is something that he had been wanting from a long time ago already. But he wanted to create a theater in the city, and he chose, I don't know if you remind the little picture I showed of a theater that was also going on, that was existing in the area. Well, he came to an agreement with this theater, and he made a huge change to the building, and he created the Antonio Banderas. Well, we know is that the Antonio Banderas Theater is obviously not the name, but now it has a lot of activity there, and yes, we have very, very cool shows there every week. Thank you very much for reminding me.
Cool. Thank you very much, Paula. So we're going slowly but surely to the end of our discussion of today. I don't know
Thank
if
you,
there's
Ryan.
any other direct question from the audience. If that's not the case, it's not an urgent question. I would like to show you a little bit first of all, to express the gratitude from the project side, so to say, to all the city delegates who have delivered here marvelous presentations, and all the experts. Just to remind you, we had two sessions. The last session a few months ago, and today's one. We showcased examples from Dublin, from Málaga, from Rotterdam in the European Union, and also in non-European countries, from Christchurch, from Brisbane, Bangkok, and Seoul. So I think there is a very strong interest on this topic of, let's say, tactical urbanism, placemaking, and so on. And I see also that we have had today, and I see still here online after the nearly 2 hours webinar, participants from Vilnius. I see Anke over there from Stuttgart. I see also colleagues from Malagao. In Portugal, we see also from Vietnam and from Malaysia still colleagues. So there is a very strong, I think, commitment and a very strong interest. And that takes me back a little bit to what are we going to do with it? So, and what we want to do with this, so to say, the way forward is to try to make a kind of joint pilot action. And we are thinking with, especially with Ryan, who has been so supportive in the last webinar. Basically, in the preparation and implementation of the last webinar, we're thinking about maybe a concept or something to invite you to do an activity jointly with us in the second half of the year, probably around September, October. We're going to get back to you on that once this is more mature, but we can certainly tell you that we're not going to just leave this on the virtual space and leave it out and let it go. I think there is a momentum which is very important. Of course, I will write a summary for the website, which will be there probably tomorrow. If the presenters agree with that, we can also put the presentations on the website and maybe even the YouTube channel. But we want to really lead to something very concrete, to a pilot action. And herefore, we will look for some volunteering cities, I think. We have some ideas, but that will take a little bit of time to make a good concept note. So having said this, I see also Michelle is here till the end. I don't know, Michelle, if you would also like, Michelle from the European Union delegation to Thailand. I don't know, Michelle, if you would like also to make any quick comment or something. Maybe, yes, I see you're there. Super. So, Michelle. Thanks
Hi
for
everyone.
us.
No, I was actually trying to stay quiet because you guys are really the protagonists and the ones with the knowledge. But I just wanted to, since Pablo asked me, I just wanted to thank you very much. I think it's a extremely great webinar, always a fantastic interventions and a lot of good examples. I think we're also learning and enriching ourselves here with the wealth of experiences from across the world in this program. So. Highly interesting and looking forward to take this forward also in the future, and definitely sharing the knowledge. So thanks a lot from the European Union and all of us, basically.
Yes, thank you very much, Michelle. And Michelle is based in Bangkok, and those of you who were here the last time 2 months ago, you may remember also the very interesting presentation by WePark, Shamla. That was an initiative supported by the EU delegation. They're working very close with the EU delegation, I think, on rolling out this kind of, this so-called pocket parks campaign in Bangkok and so on. Once again, thank you very much to all of you. We will follow up with a summary, with an email directly to all who have registered to volunteer for activities in the second half of the year. And I wish you a pleasing and a good sleep to Christchurch. And good afternoon to the colleagues in Asia, and good morning to the colleagues in Europe. And thanks very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Paula.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye.